This is ClearPath Retirement Radio. I'm your host, Stewart Smith, here with Mitch Davies, as always.
Welcome back.
We are today talking about, common things that we see where people kind of miss the boat and cause them issues in retirement. Things that, maybe not everybody understands or is on everybody's radar, that we want to just kind of bring up and just make sure that at least it's on your radar and you kind of, you can kind of understand that these things are out there and things you need to be looking out for. We just talked about qualified charitable donations and how those are so often missed. And, another thing that I think is very misunderstood and not totally, where people really are inefficient is what accounts they access when it comes to retirement. We call that withdrawal order, and that is, do I tap the IRA first? Do I spend my savings first? Do I spend Roth money? Do I, spend money from my brokerage account? All of those accounts have very different tax consequences associated with them. Your IRAs are pre-tax money that have never paid taxes on. So whenever you do access that money, it's all taxable as income. And then, the brokerage accounts are a little different. They're, the money that you put into a brokerage account is after tax money that you've already paid taxes on, but you have to pay taxes on the growth in that account as you go forward. And then, your bank accounts work the same way. If you have a high-yield savings account or a money market account, you've already paid the taxes on the money you put into those accounts, but you still do have to pay taxes on the growth in those as well. And finally, Roth money. Roth money is magical because Roth money, you put in after-tax money that you've already paid taxes on, but the real treasure there is that you never pay taxes on the growth. And, we hear a lot of people say, yeah, but you can't touch it for 5 years.
Right.
And that's just not true.
No.
So the 5-year rule applies to only the growth in a Roth account. You can't touch the growth for 5 years if you want it to be not taxed. Right. But you can always get back to the money that you originally contributed into the Roth.
That's right.
So don't let that keep you back, right? I love this line that I heard recently. It says, the IRS is your silent partner in your IRA. Roth conversions are how you buy them out at today's prices. Right?
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Right? So think about that for a minute. Do you want to have it held over your head that every time you take money out of your IRA, a portion of it has to go to the IRS and never know exactly what that portion is going to be? I mean, we ask all the time when we're doing workshops with folks, how many people here think taxes are going down in the future?
Nobody raises their hand.
And we have not had a taker on that in quite a while. So if that's the case, and if you are truly believe, as we do at the firm, that taxes are only going up in the future, and you've saved all of your money for retirement in a pre-tax account like an IRA, would it make sense to potentially start taking some of that money as it makes sense and going ahead and biting the bullet, paying the taxes on it now, and getting it over to a Roth account where that money can grow tax-free and you never have to take required minimum distributions from it. You never have to pay taxes on that money again. And not only that, but if you leave that money to someone else, they never have to pay taxes on it. Right. Would that make sense? Is that logical? And I'd have to say most people see that is absolutely the right play and the right way to do things, and they're very confident that is going to help them with their overall tax picture. So, back to withdrawal order and what accounts you take when, right? Like, you either determine your withdrawal order or the IRS decides your withdrawal order.
Yeah.
Right? Because, if you are not aware and you are saving money in pre-tax accounts like an IRA, for example, at a certain age, the government is going to say to you, and for most people it's around 73, the government is going to say to you, you've enjoyed tax deferral on this money long enough. It is time for you to start taking a percentage of this account every single year and paying the taxes on it, because we are tired of waiting on our cut, right?
Right.
And, that is called a required minimum distribution. And that is what clouds the tax picture so much. Because if you could just keep deferring it forever, then we could control the taxes so much better, because we could only take money when we absolutely needed to take money and pay the taxes on it then. But that's not the case, Mitch.
I wish.
And people just need to get that through their heads, is that at some point, if you just let that IRA continue to grow and you never do any conversions or start getting the money out of there, that just means bigger required minimum distributions when the time comes. Those required minimum distributions are considered income, right, in the year that you take them. So that can push you up into a higher tax bracket and push you up into getting more of your Social Security taxed. It can push you up into missing out on, tax breaks that go away at certain thresholds. It really can determine, a lot of things for you. So you need to take control of that. And the way you take control is you do that on your terms.
Right.
You move the money out of the IRA and pay the taxes on it on your terms. And you control that. And if you're really smart, between age of retirement, whatever that is for you, and age 73, you get all that money out of that IRA over into a Roth. So when you hit that required minimum distribution age, you don't have to do RMDs. You don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
Right? That's the magic window, we call it. That is the time to be aggressive. And a lot of people, it's hard for them. I get it.
Yep.
It's really hard to see the big, long picture and to think, well, what if I don't make it to 73?
Right.
And I just paid all these taxes for nothing. Well, that's the risk that you got to take. And that's why we have these conversations about, hey, how healthy are you?
Right.
Right? What does longevity look like in your family? I mean, if you think you're going to live to age 90, then getting it all out before you're 73 and then having all that tax-free money between 73 and 90 is huge on your overall tax picture, and really frees you up to live a different lifestyle, because money you take out of a Roth is not even considered income.
Right.
And it can put you into a zero taxes on your Social Security and put you in, give you the most tax benefits that you could possibly have. But you got to get real. Like, do I really expect to live to 90?
Right.
Because if you don't, then maybe it doesn't make sense for you. But that's why you got to have a plan. That's why you got to have, a real advisor that can kind of talk you through and understand all these different, variables that are going on here to make you, to really understand, like, does this benefit me? And I can tell you, even if it doesn't benefit you, it's going to benefit either your spouse or your children.
Right.
Because if you get that money to a tax-free state and something happens to you, your spouse is way better off,
yes.
right? Because the minute something happens to you, now the standard deduction gets cut in half on her taxes or his taxes. now all the thresholds come down to be a single person as opposed to a married couple. And, we kind of call that the tax torpedo, where you can really leave somebody in bad shape if all you're leaving them is IRA money,
right.
Because now they have to take a lot more money out and pay a lot more taxes in order to get the same lifestyle. So, these are all things that you need to be thinking about, but these are the real conversations that we have with people. And this is we have to really get down to the nitty gritty with them, where the rubber meets the road, and find out what makes sense and what doesn't.
We do. And, the most common mistake people make without understanding all this, without knowing all this, because you don't know what you don't know, is people will, work hard. They're getting into a high tax bracket towards the later end of their career. They finally get into retirement. They've saved some money in a bank or in CDs or something. And they're like, Stewart, I've paid all these taxes. I want to be in a low tax bracket. They get they're in their mid 60s and they're in a 12% bracket for the first time in a long time. And they're like, cool, I just want to keep spending this bank account money. And then what happens is they end up living to 87, and in their 70s and 80s, they're in a higher tax bracket than they would have been had they had a conversion schedule, had they done this kind of planning. But they don't know what they don't know. So they let the government set the age for the RMDs at a good time. They've thought all this through, right? They're actuarially, they know that if they defer it longer, they're going to get more money. And they know most people people kind of get into retirement and are scared of those IRAs. Like, I don't want to pay any more taxes, right? They almost shy away from them, and they try to just spend all the after-tax money they can. But if we can be intentional with that, like you said, we can decide the withdrawal order, not the government.
Yeah. Well, listen, I hope you guys have enjoyed the show today. If any of this has struck a chord with you, if any of it is something that you want to find out more information about, we love to hear from you at ClearPath Retirement Planning. We are an upstate retirement planning firm here in Greenville, South Carolina, serving South and North Carolina. We are veteran-owned and operated, and if we can be of service to you, please give us a call, 864-775-5033, or visit us at our website, clearpathretirement.com. We're also on YouTube. Check out our YouTube channel, and until next week, everybody have a happy retirement.
You've been listening to ClearPath Retirement Radio with Stewart Smith and Mitch Davies, helping you make informed decisions so you can plan for retirement with confidence. To learn more, visit clearpathretirement.com. That's clearpathretirement.com.